No, there we go. Minutes are counting. Okay. What I'm going to talk to you people about right now is Harley Davidson starter motors and solenoids. Listen up and listen to what I'm saying, because if you listen to me, I will save you hundreds of dollars. Shops that are on the internet, established businesses, they don't tell you what I know. And a lot of times it's because they do not know what I know. Because they are not engineers, they do not disassemble parts in general. They just replace parts and sell parts. And they know how to analyze based on given symptoms. Now I'm going to tell you people how to save a hell of a lot of money. Okay, on a 97 Harley Davidson Fat Boy I have, I just saved replacing the starter on that. And any shop, if they would have heard what he was doing, the gears would clash together in the bendix, and occasionally it'd go bzzz, bzzz, and then it would engage again, they'd turn over and it'd go clack, clack, clack. That's the sounds. And I'm sure some of you have heard those sounds, or what they call the dreaded click. Okay, a lot of guys, they pull these starters out and they buy the old ball bendix gear, clutch gear they call it. Actually, rarely, if ever, are you going to need to do that. Because what goes wrong, and I've got a Harley starter here that's going to demonstrate with y'all, so don't think, oh, it's just the guy sitting in a chair again, you know, just like my carburetor and coil videos and electronics videos always have the part usually to display. Because while I'm working, I can't record because I work so low, because I don't like disturbance. I work better alone, okay, in general, usually. Alright, now, the problem with starters, the type I'm going to talk about, which probably applies to your starters after 2003, is the starters on the Evolutions, to where you had to take the primary cover off and take the jack shaft loose, and then take the oil tank off the back, and then use a 1/4 inch hex key, 1/2 inch drive socket, Allen key fitting, 1/4 inch, to take the 2 bolts out of it to get the starter out. And usually what will be done there, a total starter replacement or a clutch gear replacement, bendix, whatever you want to call it, to where you take the top of the starter apart, you have a gear with a bearing on it and a spring. Alright, you know, usually that can be totally avoided. Okay, first thing on these starters, to check before you proceed any further. And then there's some other things you can do. Okay, here's one right here that I know would fit a 1990 to a 1998. Okay, I bought this used from Fallen Cycles on the internet. You know, to have, you know, spare for parts, and because it's a good used starter. You know, it's still got the cables on it and everything. Okay, back here, the first thing you need to do when you have trouble, take these 3 bolts off of this plate on the back of the solenoid. I don't know if y'all are able to see that good, because this starter is black. Okay, let me take these 3 little screws out. It's a plate on the back of the solenoid. It's got 3 small screws on it. Okay, 1, Okay, 2 screws. Okay. 2. 3 screws. This one's a little harder to get to. Alright, we'll get it. Here it comes. Here it comes. Come on. These are very small little bolts. Some of them, they have a Phillips driver fitting, like my 97 Fat Boy has. Some of them have a very small internal Torx fitting. And some of them are like this starter that came off a 96 Heritage Softail, to where it's just cones on it and no inner fitting in it. Okay, on this one right here. Oh, here we go. Now I can get it loose. What it is, the plunger was pushing against this plate. And, oh no. Come on, come on, come on. Got this one last little screw. There's 3 screws holding this plate on the back of your solenoid. Not the starter motor cover, you know, the round cover, not that. This is, I'll show it to you. This is that cover. See, it's shaped like this. This, see, it has 3 screws that go in it, okay? Alright, let's set that aside. Now, I'm going to show you what that leaves us with. You look here, okay, you have the plunger with the spring. Man, I'm sorry if y'all can't see this very good. And there's a spring, see, on this plunger. And you have a brass ring. Let me turn up the lighting. Maybe I can help this. This is terrible, terrible. See, here's the plunger. Get up here. See, right here. See the spring on the end? And there, it's a rod with a spring on the end. Okay, right there. And then it has a brass washer right here. What you do is you get sandpaper or something, you clean this inner brass washer right here. Make sure it's clean. Okay, let me set that aside. And make sure that spring's on there. Don't lose that spring. Okay, on the inside of this, you have 2 brass terminals that plunger contacts with. You see inside right here? Okay, it's not a very good picture, but clean those off, okay? Clean those off. Next, here's something nobody ever does. You see this plunger? How that it's a pin, and it goes through a hole. See, when you hit your starter button, it pulls this inward, and it pushes your clutch gear that's in here. Okay, see, in here, and there's a hole in here. What you do is you take a regular Phillips like this is sufficient. Stick it through that hole. You know, you just have to make sure it's long enough. Let me get it in the hole. There we go, got it in the hole. Okay, listen to this. So I'm going to push that clutch gear in and out. Click, click. Click, click. See how the shaft comes out on the end? So what that means in this one, that spring is tied in there, and that clutch and that gear, they are perfect. So this U-starter would be good for me to reuse. Okay, but don't stop there. Let me tell you a trick. Take some paste axle grease. Don't get it on these brass connections on the end, and just drop some grease down in this hole, and then like roll up a piece of paper towel real tight, and then put in the hole on top of the grease, and then take like a Phillips like this and push it in with force. It'll force grease through that hole where that gear is. And see, from the manufacturer, those came with grease. Okay, after you push grease into that hole, what you can get in there, pull the piece of paper towel out of there, then wipe that out real good in there on the part where the plunger is going to be. And those do have grease, because when you pull them out, there will be grease on this spring and on the end of this pin here. You see? Then take WD-40 like this. Okay, extend it in this straw here. These are just long enough. Push down in that hole and just spray. About 10 seconds worth of spray. It's not going to hurt anything. And see what that will do, it will mix with the grease that was originally in there that caused the gear and the spring to start binding on the shaft. And it will loosen it up. Alright? And then after that, tilt the bike to the right. Any excess WD-40 will flow out onto the ground. And what is left over in there isn't going to hurt anything. Okay? Y'all still with me? Alright, then you reinstall. Make sure your battery ground is disconnected before you do any of this. Alright. And then you put your shaft back in there, like I'm going to do on this one. I like working on this stuff. See, I tell people things that shops will never ever tell you about. A lot of them just went to like the mechanic schools, and they're not experienced. They don't know how things are built. They are not experienced. Oh boy, this is a beautiful starter. I remember when Fallen Angels, if you ever watch any of their videos, some are on YouTube, type in Fallen Cycles. Yeah, that's what they're called. Okay. Now let's see. Let me put this back on here. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And I'm just going to put these in by hand. I hope that came in clear enough for y'all. But you know, if you listen, you know, to everything I've said, you won't have any problem with this. You won't have any problem. You just clean that brass ring on that plunger, and then clean those two brass fittings that connect to your outer wires on your solenoid that are on the inside. You know, those get corrosion on them, you know, and stuff. You know, make sure you take care of that. Okay. One more screw here. Yeah, that's how I keep things from getting lost. You know, I put things back in order. Okay. Alright. Let me think. Okay. But anyway, I was going to go ahead and buy a brand new starter for my 97 Bat Boy, but I went out there earlier, you know, and I took that off, pushed some grease into that bendix, and I noticed when I take my Phillips and push in and out, after I put grease in that, it started, the strength of the spring would go click, 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 just like that one. And before it didn't do that. Okay, I put the plunger back in and the cover back on. And mine now cranks. It doesn't do that. Scratch, scratch, and then go, zoo, zoo. Turn the engine over a few revolutions and then kick back suddenly and all this bullshit. It doesn't do that anymore. It's acting right now. And that's all you have to do is just those simple procedures, because See, a starter clutch in a Harley starter, there's really no way those can go out. I mean, go out how? How are they going to go out? I mean, they have a spring behind that large gear, and that gear can only turn one direction. It's a one-way gear, to where if it tries to go back the opposite way, it locks in place. And it's just the old grease from the factory. They don't put on enough grease. And that grease from engine heat, over time, it gets hard. Because, you know, grease will actually harden to where it becomes solid after some time. And, you know, you push some more grease in there, and, you know, WD-40 itself, a penetrating oil like that, will actually dissolve hardened grease and soften it again. You know, these are just some things, but, you know, what I've given a lot of you Harley owners is valuable, valuable, valuable information. Because you can find videos where they show you how to clean that solenoid plunger and even change those two brass connectors on the inside. But nobody ever thinks you can push grease through that hole that's in that cavity. It's not a big deal, and it's already there and was from manufacturing. You can push it in there. It's not a problem. And then spray WD-40 in there, you know. You know, it mingles, you know, those are two oils, they mix together, they become soft. And let any excess just tilt the bike over on its right side, just for about 15 seconds, let any excess WD-40 drain out, you know. And then you put your plunger back in and put your cover back on, you know. And then there's other things you can do if a starter ever just gets where it goes click, 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 click. Okay, now that, a lot of times, can be your commutator. Okay, on the starter motor itself, where you take the cover off it and you've got brushes. But remember, if you ever take that off, you're going to play hell pushing those brushes back to push it back over that commutator. You can do it, but you know, it just takes a little effort, and you have to find out a scheme legend of how to do that, you know. I've done that on alternators and starters, you know, and that in cleaning a commutator, you know, the grooves in a commutator, you know, you clean those out, but not with anything sharp or whatever. But these big fountain pens, these plastic tops, it has the little tip. These are good for cleaning stuff like that. See, because it won't harm, you know, those parts. Okay, what else, man? What else? What else? You know, don't underestimate the information I'm giving you. Don't underestimate this information, because rarely do Harley starters go, actually the word something going out, like, hey man, your transmission's gone out. Oh man, you know, this went out on my car. Nothing ever goes out. It's still there. It's just a matter of whatever the malfunction is. And people panic. They don't want to educate, okay? Okay, but anyway, I guess that's about it, man. You know, and I guess I'm going to get with my evening. I need to fix me something to eat here. I'm going to have macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, and rotisserie chicken. Oh, man, I love everybody. I love everybody. You know, I wish people would do each other right, and people quit being stupid. Quit fighting, you know, especially over women. If they cheat on you, forget them forever, you know. That's just some advice I can give a person. If a person does you wrong, they're your enemy. Stay the hell away from them, you know. Okay, what else? Okay, Do y'all want me to sing for y'all? No, no, I won't do that. I'm not into torturing people. Okay, later, people. Later, later.